So guys, I want to come to you with a quick video. Don't want to use much of your time. And what we're talking about today is a Sportsman 570. It looks like it's a Sportsman 570. This is a 2014 model. It's an EFI. And so many of you guys I see saying, man, my four-wheeler won't run. It'll run for a second, shut right back off. I've done everything. I can't figure out what's wrong. Is it the fuel pump? And mind you, the fuel pump is located inside the fuel tank on this right here. So if you have to take the fuel pump off, you have to take all this plastic off. It's so annoying. In order to take these plastic off, you got to take these clips off. 9/16 bolts in here. And then this cowling kind of moves back. So you grab this cowling, you move it backwards. And you got to take the fuel cap off, and it slides up over the handlebars. So anyway, you don't have to take the handlebars off. You do have to do some maneuvering and twisting and bending and all that of that plastic, of the front plastic fender. So before you do all of that, I want you to do something first. First of all, the spark plug. Here's the spark plug. This is the spark plug that's used in this particular one. It's the 2014. It's an NGK plug. I really highly recommend going with the NGK brand. Let me see if I can get my camera to focus. So this is a MR7F. MR7F. This is the spark plug you want to use. Now, this spark plug really doesn't look awful, but it is bad. You can see it's dark, it's discolored. And so the symptoms that we were seeing is it would run for a moment and then just shut off. It would almost always crank right back up, run for a moment, shut off. We put a new spark plug in there. That was all that was wrong. Now, oftentimes when you see that, you will be tempted to think, okay, well, maybe it is the fuel pump. That's the number one thing that a lot of people think. They think, oh, it's the fuel pump. Well, I'm gonna give you a quick test. This is how you test the fuel pump. Here, magically, on this particular four-wheeler, there's no way to actually test the pressure of the fuel pump without maybe some special tools or whatever. Here's the fuel line. It's shocking. It doesn't even have a clamp on it. This is one of the only industries where I noticed that they don't even have a fuel clamp on the fuel line. Here's a special Polaris proprietary fuel connector that goes to a fuel rail. And so what I want you to do is there will be two bolts right here, one there. My camera's doing an awful job of it. But anyway, there's a bolt there. And I want you to take those bolts off. I think they're 8mm. You just want to pull this whole section out. It's got a little rubber O-ring on it that's going to kind of resist you a little bit, but it'll come out. And that's the injector. That's the injector. And so if you're like, is the fuel pump even working? This is what I want you to do. I want you to try to spin the engine over. And in this case right here, I don't even have my battery connected, but let me connect the battery here. Hopefully it'll crank up. And what I want you to do is try to start it with this out. And I want you to just look at this. Let's see if the camera can capture this. This may be a pretty difficult thing for the camera to capture, but let's see if it can capture. You'll see it spraying fuel out of that spray nozzle. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it with one hand because you got to squeeze the handlebar. I don't know why they made it where you have to do it. Let's see if I can do it this way here. Hold on a second, I'm going to set the camera down. Okay, I should have already did that beforehand, but I'm not going to redo this video just for that. So, I want you to look at this spray nozzle. Watch it real carefully. I think you can see it. You see it spraying fuel out. Again, I know that the camera cannot capture that nearly as well as your eyes can. This camera's doing an awful job of focusing. Let's see if we can do it again. You see it? I want you to look real careful. You see it spraying fuel out. It's so difficult to see. Let me come out this way. I'll do it again. You see it spraying fuel out? That's all the fuel pump is required to do. If it's spraying fuel out real consistently, again, you have to note volume. If it's just dripping out, that's not good. If the spray is not as prominent as you see, let me see if I can do it again. Yeah, I can see it very clearly with my eyes. I know the camera may be struggling, but anyway, that's all you want to see. If you see that, your fuel pump is not bad, guys. You'll take this to Polaris and they'll go, oh, it's going to be $800, $900, $1,500 replace your fuel pump. Because I think I have to look again, but I know sometimes on these you have to get the entire tank in order to get the fuel pump from Polaris. You can order just the pump itself from aftermarket vendors online, and you can just change it out, which is what I do, and it's like $100 or less. But it is still a lot of work just to put it in. So that's what I want you to look for. I want you to see that that fuel is being atomized and sprayed out of that injector. It's a consistent spray. It's not dripping out. It's a pretty sharp spray. That's all that fuel pump is supposed to do. It builds about I think it's about 45 PSI. But again, there's no way to test pressure here unless you have some special tools. So just note what I did. What I did is I took this zip tie. You look real carefully. I zip tied the injector to the fuel rail, because if you don't, this is going to shoot out when you do what I just did. So make sure you zip tie it and just spin the motor over. You'll see it spraying fuel out right there. If it's spraying it out, you do not need a new fuel pump. So I want you to check that. Do not go changing this out. I hear a lot of you guys trying to change this out. Don't change that out. That's almost never bad. I don't think I've ever seen one of these go bad. And you can hear it when you turn it on. You'll hear that thing. You can literally put your hand on it. You'll hear it vibrating and humming. If it's doing that, the chances are it's working. And this does go bad sometimes, but very rarely. And the reason I'm not even calling them by the names, because I know a lot of you guys don't even know what they are. So I'm just pointing them out. Because this thing here is actually located in different spots sometimes. Sometimes it'll be over on this side, or it'll be down on the other. Just different Polaris models, but this kind of applies to all models. But the focus of this video is showing you that the fuel is spraying out of the injector nozzle. If you see that, you do not need a new fuel pump. So particularly if it's not running at all, just say your symptom is it won't even crank, period. But you see it spraying fuel out right there. It's not the fuel pump. Don't go pulling all of that off. So that's the focus of this video right here. Some people will come in and say, well, you're supposed to see the RPMs on the gauge, and I'll just demonstrate that. I guess I can do that too. Again, let me connect this. Sorry for the rough video. This is the only way I can build content, because I'm so busy these days, guys. I don't really have time to build content, but I'm trying to help you out the best I can. So when you turn the display on right here, note the RPM. It reads 0. Well, when you spin it over, the RPM goes up to 300. It's pretty cool that the starter can give the engine 300 RPMs. If that does not register, if it doesn't go up to 300 RPMs or 200 RPMs, you know, if the RPM gauge is not registering anything, it's just reading 0 the whole time, then you probably have an engine position sensor problem. In that case, you want to replace the engine position sensor. Let's see if I can locate that for you. It's I hate it when people tell you to replace something and then you're like, where in the world is it? I think I have to go on the other side to see it. But I wasn't prepared to show you the engine position sensor. Here it is right here. This little device here. In this case, it's not bad, but I have seen some of these wires get pinched. But this one is good. That's what reads your RPM. So again, the highlight of this video, if you see it spraying fuel out of this fuel rail, you don't need an injector, and you do not need a fuel pump. Those things are very difficult to change out. The injector's easy to change out, but you know what? These injectors almost never go bad on these Polarises either. I don't think I've seen a bad injector yet. I think I saw one on a Ranger, maybe, but it's really, really rare. But I know so many of you guys are just replacing injectors and fuel pumps and all that, and that's not likely to be the problem. The fuel pump is notorious for going bad on these, though. So what I'm talking about is the fuel injector. It is not notorious for going bad, but the fuel pumps are. But in this case, the fuel pump is good. Do not change that. That's it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one.